Welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us for today's episode of Canal Days. As always, I'm your host Carrie, along with my co-host, founder of Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, Robert Camus. Our Canal Days series delves into the vast collection of historical sites throughout Massachusetts, with Robert's expertise of the local history as our personal guide. Each episode, we uncover history throughout local communities, highlighting historic landmarks and remaining relics, while uncovering their seminal significance. Today's episode of Canal Days, we will be learning about the Catholic churches of North Agawam. So, clarify where the St. William's Church was located.
This was one of three Catholic churches that was in the village of North Agawam. And we're going to talk about each of those and what they're about nowadays. So the St. William's Church was the first church put into this village. It was at the corner of Church and Bridge Streets. To be exact, find it for yourself. It was at 4 Church Street and 36 Bridge Street. And that was put in the year 1878. It's now apartments have been put there. I can find no remnants of the church itself, but it was the first one put into the North Agawam neighborhood. And, well, sadly, it was removed due to a fire and another one built.
And illuminate the St. Therese of the Infant Jesus Church.
Alright, the second one put it in place was not put at the same location as that St. William's Church. The next church, St. Teresa's Church, was put at 66 Bridge Street in the North Agawam Village. And it was put in the year 1927. And it has a rectory off to its left-hand side, and it looks just like the church. So you can tell that the same architect that designed the church also made that rectory itself. Now, it was a replacement, so the St. William's Church lasted for 49 years, and the St. Therese was put in its place. The architect is rather famous, John Donahue. He was the Springfield Diocese architect of choice. They call him the official architect of the diocese, in fact. And he made a very unique design to the St. Teresa's Church. And on it went, it was built and still there. But nowadays, it's a Moldavian Baptist church. So it's not a Catholic church at all. And it's a nice structure, and I put a lot of pictures of it on my webpage so you can see what it's all about.
And stick around and we'll be right back after a quick announcement. Are you fascinated by local history and eager to explore the obscure treasures off the beaten path throughout the state of Massachusetts? Or maybe just seeking an unforgettable cultural activity for family and friends to enjoy? Look no further than Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, founded by Robert Camus. With over a decade of experience, Robert offers captivating tours and presentations of historic sites and landmarks throughout the state. Whether you're interested in canals, cemeteries, charming churches, or more, Robert's tours provide a unique and enriching experience for all. And that's not it. You can also schedule private tours tailored to your interests, ensuring a personalized adventure and unforgettable memories. Perfect for families or groups of all sizes, making for an exciting hands-on learning experience that brings history to life. Simply visit holyokecanaltour.org or email bobcat4214, capital B, at yahoo.com to book your private tour today. So getting back to our episode on the Catholic Churches of North Agawam, describe the St. Anthony of Padua.
Alright, so this is on the same street, so it's found at 108 Bridge Street, corner of 50 Maple Street of North Agawam Village. And it's a church for the Italian ethnic group. It was made in the year 1925, so this year is his 100th year anniversary year. The rectory is attached to the very back physically, so you can walk from the church to the rectory. And it's still a functional church. It's a church of redemption, non-denominational, so it's not a Catholic church anymore. So all 3 churches on the same street, all used to be Catholic churches, but they're not any longer. One has no remnants left. But it shows you how important this neighborhood was, because right across the bridge there was a canal and a big mill. And a lot of these people would go off to that mill. A lot of Catholics would follow the mills, follow where the canals were to get their jobs. And this is just proof of it once more.
And analyze why these churches were started.
So, they were started for the Catholics. I remember the first one, the St. Williams. It came around in a very early stage, but canals were coming around then in the 1870s. And the reason they started up because they wanted to get the Catholics who wanted to get these mill jobs. There were a few mills in North Agawam, but most of the mills were across that wonderful bridge into West Springfield. And there was a gigantic paper mill and cotton mill, and they started up St. Williams for the Irish and the French Canadians. Started up in the year 1878. Its replacement, St. Teresa, came around 1927, and that was for all ethnic groups, the Polish, French Canadians, Italians, and the Irish. Now, by the time St. Anthony of Padua was built, there were so many Italians in the North Agawam village that they got their own church for themselves. And they named it after one of the more popular saints. So, quite a history. The best looking of the church by far is the St. Teresa's one. And has a very unique look, but that's because, remember I told you John Donahue is the architect of choice of the Springfield Diocese.
And thank you for tuning in to our podcast on the Catholic churches of North Agawam and joining us on our journey through the rich history of the Connecticut River Valley. We hope you enjoyed uncovering some of the hidden overlooked marvels and their fascinating stories that shaped our past in the state of Massachusetts. A special thanks to Robert Camus, the founder of Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, for sharing his passion and expertise with us. You can find more information about Robert's tours, book private tours, and explore the Canal Days video and podcast series at holyokecanaltour.org. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like, comment, and share. We'd love to hear your thoughts and suggestions for future episodes. Don't forget to keep exploring and discovering all that's hidden in plain sight all around us. Thanks for listening, and tune in to our next episode of Canal Days at bellingon to holyokecanaltour.org.